Hi loves, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be sharing my foundation routine. I get so many questions on what foundation I use, how do I apply my foundation, from all of you guys here on YouTube to customers that I deal with, friends, family. Like there's so many people that ask me what foundation I use and how do I apply it. So I'm gonna break it down for you guys, do a detailed video on how I do my foundation. If you guys are new to my channel or if you just weren't aware, I actually work for Estee Lauder. So for the foundation I'm gonna be using today, it is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. Guys, this is the #1 selling foundation in America. This is my holy grail. I've used this foundation years before I started working for Estee Lauder and I still love it. It's like the best finish ever and it's very long lasting. I'll get more detailed in the video about this foundation, but this is the foundation that I'll be using for this video. So I really hope you guys stay tuned and enjoy this video. And without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so first things first, you're gonna wanna prime your skin. So lately I've been using the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. I believe this is also the #1 selling primer in America. This is pretty much your basic and average primer. It's very silky. It kind of has like that silicone feel, like it just glides right on. I personally love primers like that. It's very similar to the Bare Minerals Primetime primer, the Benefit Professional, anything like that. They all kind of have that same texture and I personally like it, so this is the one that I've been using lately. If I use any other kind of primer, I go for something that's more hydrating, which would be kind of more of like a lotion texture, but lately I've been using this one. So I'm just gonna put that on the back of my hand and I do about that much primer and then I'm just gonna dot that on my nose, my forehead, chin, and my cheeks. I do like to bring it down my neck a little bit as well. Also, I try to avoid putting primer on my eyebrows because whenever I apply my eyebrow products, they tend to slip around because the primer is pretty silky. So I just try to avoid that area, but I do put it on my eyelids. I pretty much am priming my eyelids that way. I used to buy eyeshadow primers, but I don't anymore. So now for the fun part, we are going to be talking about this Double Wear Foundation. So like I said in the beginning, this is the #1 selling foundation in America. The foundation is oil-free, it's a medium to full coverage, and it's long wearing 24-hour wear, guys. So even if I work like an 8-hour shift and I wanna go out with my friends afterwards, it's still looking good. It doesn't separate like on my chin or anything like that. I feel like with other foundations, my chin and sometimes my forehead is like the main area where I do tend to separate. It is oil free, so if anybody out there that has very dry skin, it doesn't dry out your skin, but I wouldn't set it with a powder. It is a semi-matte finish, so you don't need to set it with a powder, but for me, I do. Even though I have pretty dry skin, I get a little bit combination just in my T-zone, but I do still set it with a powder. But if you have like extremely dry skin, you probably don't need to. So just try out different techniques. And then again, this foundation may not work for everybody, but working at the counter, we literally never get any returns for this foundation. And when I do get a return, I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, you don't like it? I'm like, what's wrong? Like, what don't you like about it? And they kind of can't really say anything about like exactly what it is. So I don't know, everybody's skin's different. Try out what's best for you. This to me is like the best foundation out there. So I'm just gonna open this up. It doesn't come with a pump, it comes just like this. The pump is $10 extra, but I just put a little bit on the back of my hand. Whoa, sometimes I get pulled pretty fast, so I'm gonna tilt my hand, try to get a little bit back in. So there, that's how much foundation I put on the back of my hand. I gotta start putting this on or else it's gonna slide. So I'm just gonna do one dot on each cheek, my nose, my forehead, and my chin. Sometimes I'll do like another swipe. Now before I put my foundation on my face, I should have showed you what I use to apply my foundation. This is my old beauty blender. As you can see, it's pretty disgusting. This one I just got today, so you can kind of compare the colors and how they should look. This is the Real Techniques beauty blender or beauty sponge. You can find this at Target or Walgreens or anything like that. It is more affordable than the actual beauty blender. The beauty blender retails for $20. This one, I would say it's maybe like $9. But this is what I use to apply my foundation. It's not wet yet. So what you want to do is you want to wet it underneath a water faucet. And you want to just keep squeezing it out, and then it's going to expand. And pretty much that's going to help the foundation not to like absorb all into the sponge. It's not going to absorb everything, but when it's wet, it also helps it to blend out very easily. So I'm gonna go wet this really quick, and then we're gonna start blending out the foundation. Okay, so I just wet my sponge. Now you can see it's a lot more squishier, it's a lot softer, it's gonna be not as firm, easier to blend your foundation out. Also, I didn't mention, for any kind of sponge that you're using, you wanna replace it every 2 months. Maybe every 3 months. You don't want to go any longer than that because like bacteria and things like that. So pretty much I just like to move the foundation in a downward motion, and then I'll kind of go back and forth with like swiping like that, but then I'll also pat it. And I find the sponge is like the best application for foundation. It kind of gives your skin just like a very, very natural look compared to like just a regular foundation brush. You'll sometimes see like the streaks, and I'm not a big fan of foundation brushes, so the sponges is what I like to use. Okay, so I'm done applying the foundation. I would say this is a medium coverage. If I want to apply a little bit more, which I think I might do, I'll just put a little bit on the sponge. But here you guys can see the coverage of the foundation. I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit more so that way you guys can really see. There is that one little area that I do have a breakout, or kind of like a scar. I do go over that with concealer, but sometimes I feel like I don't even need to go over with concealer. I could just use another layer of the foundation and it'll be enough to cover it. So I'm actually gonna apply a little bit more, so I'm just gonna take my sponge. I'm gonna be very careful because I don't want to do too much. So that's as much as I did, and I'm just gonna do a little bit kind of all over. Okay, now for concealer, I'm going to be using the new Double Wear Radiant Concealer. This is going to be a little bit more hydrating. It is a medium coverage, so I like to only use concealer if I have a breakout, so for example, one on my chin. I do sometimes put concealer to highlight under my eyes, but I kind of honestly feel like the Double Wear will cover a lot of discoloration, and I don't really have a whole lot of discoloration yet. So I kind of skipped that whole highlighting process. I just use a regular powder highlight. But as for covering any kind of acne scars or anything like that, you do want to go maybe the same shade as your foundation or a tad bit darker. I would say this is probably a little bit darker. So you can see it is a little bit darker than my foundation. So I'm just gonna do like one. So I just wanna do like one little dot of that. I'll take my sponge, blend it out. So there you go. That is full coverage, guys. And it's so flawless. It literally doesn't even look like I have any makeup on. Like you could tell my chin, like it just looks very soft and natural, and that's why I am obsessed with this foundation. I am not trying to be biased because I work for Estee Lauder. This is just by far the best foundation I've ever tried, and I really hope you guys go out and purchase it if you haven't tried it before. So to set the foundation, I'm going to be using my MAC Studio Fix powder. You can use the double wear powder that goes with the foundation, or you can use like a loose powder. I feel like powders for me, like I'm not too picky about them. I feel like any powder kind of will work with setting foundation. I'm more picky when it comes to your actual liquid foundation. I feel like that makes the biggest difference, not so much the powder. So this is the one I'll be using. I'm just going to take a powder brush, dust that over. Now, if you want even more coverage, you can use a sponge that will always come in a compact. So underneath, there's a little sponge. I don't really use that because I usually just use a powder brush, but the sponge will usually give you more coverage, so. All right, so that is how the foundation looks. I do feel like I look very pale right now. So I'm gonna finish with my eyebrows, do a little bit of eyeshadow, bronzer, all that stuff. Then I'll come back and show you guys how my face looks all pulled together with other makeup on. I'm gonna just do a very natural look, and then I'll show you guys how it turns out. So I was actually gonna do my bronzer and blush off camera, but I kind of wanna do it on camera. That way I can show you guys just how I do like my regular bronzer and highlight and all of that. So for my bronzer, I use the Anastasia Contour Kit. And then the two colors that I like to use, I've used this one right here and also this one. I kind of mix the two. And then I use that for my bronzer. Starting from my tragus to the middle of my cheekbone, that is where I'll apply my bronzer. You can usually do it just by going like this. And you'll see, I feel so weird, but you'll see like your natural like contour area right there. So you can definitely see a lot more definition on that side compared to that side. Now for my blush, I'll be using a Estee Lauder product. This is the blush in Alluring Rose, number 140. I'll just take a little bit of that, and then I want to brush upward. And I start right on my cheekbone and I go up. You always want to be kind of careful with that though. You maybe want to like dust off your brush, just because there could be a lot on there, and there's been days where I would go straight on and I'm like, oh wow, it's too much powder. But you'll kind of get the hang of it, whichever blush you're using, how much to apply. This one, I could actually do a lot of it, and it won't really mess it up. And then for my highlight, this is also another Estee Lauder product. As you can see, I'm getting hooked up and I have a lot of them now. This is the Bronze Goddess powder in the number 1 Heat Waves. So this is how the powder looks. So beautiful, I love this highlight. The whole Bronze Goddess collection is very beautiful. I love the bronzers for it. And I'll do a little bit on my nose, down the bridge of my nose, a little bit on my forehead. Oh yeah, I'll put bronzer on my forehead too. I totally forgot about that. I'll just put a little bit of bronzer on my forehead, because I usually like to bronze up that area too. And then really quick, I'm gonna add on a lipstick. This is a liquid lipstick by Estee Lauder, and it's called Bronze Leaf. All right, everyone, so this is the finished look. Here's an up close view of how my skin is looking. So if you haven't tried the Double Wear foundation yet, you gotta get on it, girl, because it is so bomb. And I promise you will love it. So I really thank you guys for watching this video, and also give it a thumbs up if you found it helpful. I love you guys so much, and I've missed you all like crazy. I know I've been very MIA. I've just been working a lot, and life has been a little hectic lately, but I promise I'll be making more of an effort to upload for you guys weekly. So yeah, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and click that red subscribe button down below. And I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Mwah.